Okay, so what's going to happen is that once Muhammad comes into place and he unites the Arabian desert into a new community of followers, okay? They'll spread really quickly throughout the world. And as you can see, there are now over 1 billion Muslims in the world. And you can see how many Muslims there are in the world, okay? So there's a lot of conflict between the Roman Empire, the Byzantines, and the Sassanians as well, okay? There are lots of major battles. These wars are exhausting both empires. And this is going to enable the Arabs to rise in power, because as these two empires fight and their energy decreases, this energy is being transferred to the Arabs, okay? Because a lot of wealth is being transferred to the Arabs, but also a lot of mercenaries are learning how to fight from the Byzantines as well as the Persians, okay? All right, so the major event that sparks the Arab Revolution is the persecution of the Jews, okay? So, Alan, can you read, please?
The Persian army, reinforced by Jewish force led by Nehemiah ben Hashir and Benjamin of Tiberias, would capture Jerusalem without resistance.
Okay, so the Jews want to return to Jerusalem. Remember, the Romans kicked the Jews out of Jerusalem. So they make a deal with the Persians. Okay? They basically say to the Persians, if you support us, we'll support you in the fight against the Romans. And that's what happened. But once that happens, there are lots of Christians within Jerusalem, and they call the Byzantines for help. And so the Byzantines come, and they win back the city because the Christians helped them, but they start massacring a lot of Jews, okay?
The capture of Jerusalem was interpreted by Jewish writers in a Messianic context. Sacrifices may even have been renewed on the Temple Mount. Control of the city was handed to Nehemiah ben Hashil and Benjamin of Tiberias. Nehemiah was then appointed the ruler of Jerusalem. She began making arrangements for the building of the third temple and sorting out genealogies of establishing a new high priesthood.
Okay, so this is almost like the Bible, where the Jews were kicked out of Jerusalem by the Babylonians, and the temple was burned down. And so what the Jews believe is, like, now the new Messiah will return. We have to rebuild the third temple, because in their religion, the Messiah will return all Jews to Jerusalem and build the third temple. Okay. All right, keep on going.
Yeah. After only a few months, a Christian revolt occurred. Nehemiah ben Hashil and his council of 16 righteous were killed along with many other Jews, some throwing themselves off the city walls. Following the outburst of violence in Jerusalem, the surviving Jews fled to Shambara's encampment at Caesarea. Christians were able to briefly retake the city before the walls were breached by Sehabris forces who laid siege to the city. Sources vary on how long the siege lasted. Depending on the source, it lasted 19, 20, or 21 days.
Okay, right. So the Jews take over Jerusalem, and they want to rebuild their temple. And the Christians are angry because they think this is my city. The Christians rebel, and the Byzantines help them, and the Jews are massacred, and a lot escape. Where they go to the Arabian desert. Why do they go to the Arabian desert? Because they believe the Messiah is going to come. And so they preach that, hey, the Messiah is coming. Okay? And in the Arabian desert, there's a man who believes he is the Messiah, and his name is Muhammad. Okay? All right, can you keep on reading?
Jews were expelled from Jerusalem and were not allowed to settle within the 3-mile radius. A general massacre of the Jewish population ensued. The massacre devastated the Jewish communities of the Galilee and Jerusalem. Only those Jews who could flee to the mountains of Egypt are said to have been spared.
Okay, so this is from Wikipedia, okay? All right, so the first thing that Muhammad's going to do is announce the Constitution of Medina, which is to say that I'm the prophet, I am the Messiah, But what I promise you is religious openness and tolerance. It doesn't matter if you're a Jew, it doesn't matter if you're Christian, it doesn't matter if you're Arab. You can practice whatever religion you want. And it's called the Constitution of Medina, okay? That's a promise that Muhammad makes to all his followers. Okay? And we know this from the Quran. So we're going to read the Quran together, which is the holy book of the Muslims. And what we'll see is that Muhammad is clearly promising tolerance for all religious factions. Doesn't matter what religion you are, you're allowed to practice whatever you want, okay? So, Alan, can you read, please?
O people of the book, why do you argue about Abraham when the Torah and the gospel were not revealed until after him? Will you not reason? Here you argue about things you know. But why do you argue about things you do not know? Allah knows, and you do not know. Abraham was neither a Jew nor a Christian, but he was a monotheist, a Muslim, and he was not of the polytheist. The people most deserving of Abraham are those who follow him, and these prophets and those who believe Allah is the guardian of the believers.
Okay, so the legend is that Muhammad, when he was 40, he went into the desert. And in the desert, he was meditating and had a revelation. An angel, Gabriel, visited him and spoke the truth of the universe. The Quran is just a writing down of all these revelations, okay? And one major revelation is Gabriel tells Muhammad, you're all children of God. You're all descendants of Abraham. Therefore, why are you guys fighting? You guys should be working together. Okay? All these differences don't matter. What's important is for you all to remember that you all believe in the one true God. That's what matters. And these differences don't really matter, okay? Okay. Keep on reading.
Yeah. They disbelieve with those who say Allah is a Messiah, the son of Mary. But the Messiah himself said, O children of Israel, worship Allah, my Lord and your Lord. Whoever has associates others with Allah, Allah has forbidden him paradise, and his dwelling is the fire. The wrongdoers have no saviors.
Okay, so this is really important. What the Quran is saying is this. Jesus is not God. God is God. God is Allah. Jesus is just a messenger. Okay? And the messenger himself, Jesus himself said, worship God. Don't worship me. Okay? So this is a Nestorian position, right? Okay? Jesus is human. In heaven he's divine, but on earth he's human. Okay? Keep on going.
They disbelieve those who say Allah is a third of three, but there is no deity except the one God. If they do not refrain from what they say, a painful torment will befall those among them who disbelieve.
Okay, so it's just saying that the Holy Trinity, it's sacrilege, it's blasphemy. It makes no sense, man. God is God. God isn't one of three. Okay? God is his God. Keep on going.
While they not repent to Allah as ask his forgiveness, Allah is forgiving and merciful. The Messiah, son of Mary, was only a messenger, before whom other messengers had passed away, and his mother was a woman of truth. They both used to eat food. Note how we make clear the revelation to them, then note how deluded they are.
Okay, to say that Mary is divine, to say that Jesus is divine, it's all superstitious. They're all just messengers of the one true God, like Moses and like Moses before him, okay, and now like Muhammad today. Okay, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad are all messengers of God. Jesus was the penultimate, and Muhammad is the last, okay, the final messenger of God. All right, keep.
With him are the keys of the unseen. None knows them except he, and he knows everything on land and in the sea. Not a leaf falls, but he knows it. And there is not a single grain in the darkness of earth, nor is there anything wet or dry, but is in a clear record. It is he who takes you by night, and he knows what you earn by day, that he raises you up in it until a fixed term is fulfilled. Then to him is your return, that he will inform you of what you used to do. He is a conqueror over his servant, and he sent guardians over you. Until, when death overtakes one of you, our envoys take him away, and they never fail. Then they are brought back to Allah, the true master. Unquestionably, he is the judgment, and he is the swiftest of reckoners.
So this is establishing the monad, right, as God. The monad is the universe. The monad is everything. It's divine. Okay? Stop saying Jesus is God. That makes no sense. All right. Okay. So as we discussed, now the Arabian desert, it's energized. People are energetic because people thirst for religious liberation. Okay? The Christians, the Jews, all unite behind Muhammad. And very quickly, they're able to, once he's able to unite the Arabs, okay, they're now really quickly able to expand outwards. They retake Jerusalem and they conquer the Persian Empire very, very quickly because both of these empires, the Byzantines and the Sassanids, are exhausted. The main advantage of the Byzantines is they still have Constantinople, which is impossible to conquer, okay? So Constantinople is safe, but everybody else falls to the Arabs, okay? And as you can see how fast their conquest is. And this is only about 100 years, okay? They're able to basically conquer most of the Roman Empire. They take Spain, they take Northern Africa, they conquer Persia, okay? So really rapid conquest. Because at this point in history, people are just sick of empires and they're looking for religious liberation, okay? And over time, as Muhammad dies, the Muslims will fight amongst themselves and they will establish different empires called caliphates, and they will break up as well. Okay? And this will give time for the Byzantines to reestablish themselves, and then Western Europe will become more and more powerful. Now, the Arabs will establish something called the Islamic Golden Age. And this marks a time of tremendous peace and prosperity for the world because the Muslims are able to establish trade networks throughout the world, okay? Why? Well, because when you do trade, the biggest problem is one of trust, right? How can I trust you to take my money to somewhere else? But if you're a Muslim, you must swear to Allah. Okay? So religion requires you to be trustworthy, and that allows Muslims to work together and establish trade routes throughout the world.